In 1908, the Tunguska explosion in Siberia obliterated 2,000 square kilometers of forest. Official explanation: meteor or comet impact. But Russian scientists found something else at the blast site. A massive structure that looked like flesh but resembled no living thing. Not plant, not animal, not mineral. A mixture of all three. And inside it, there was information. 4 million years of information. Earth's true history. And humanity was never supposed to learn this. Before you continue watching, hit that subscribe button. Because this story isn't just about an explosion. This is about how Earth has witnessed intelligent civilizations twice before us. And each time, it ended the same way. This is the story of the Flesh Archive. The planet's memory, and the truth we wish to forget. Tunguska River, Siberia. Morning, 7:17 a.m. The sky burned. A massive fireball descended from the heavens. Brilliant, blinding, brighter than the sun. The indigenous people called it the Wrath of God. Scientists would later call it the Tunguska event. The explosion measured 12 megatons. 1,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. 2,000 square kilometers of forest vanished. 80 million trees were felled, in a radial pattern, all fallen outward from the center point. But the strange thing was this: there was no crater. No meteor fragments were found. Only obliteration. The first research team arrived in 1927, nearly 20 years later. Because the region was so remote, so inaccessible, that no one could reach it immediately, a Russian scientist named Leonid Kulik led the team. What they found shocked them. At ground zero, the trees were still standing, but they had been stripped of their leaves, bark, branches. Only bare trunks remained, upright, as if the blast had hit them directly from above. And in the soil, something was there, a strange smell. Not burnt, not chemical, organic, but unfamiliar. Kulik and his team dug at the center point. At 3 meters depth, they found it. Viktor Kuznetsov was one of Kulik's assistants. He wrote in his journal, July 30, 1927, "Today we found something 2 meters below ground zero. At first we thought it was soil. But when we touched it, it was soft, wet, as if it was alive." The team continued digging carefully. The structure grew, 1 meter wide, 2 meters, 3 meters. When they finally extracted it completely, what they saw was incredible. A massive mass, approximately 2 tons in weight, irregular shape, amorphous. Its color, indescribable. Reddish, gray, greenish, purplish. It changed depending on the light. Its texture was soft, like flesh. But there were no bones, no skeleton, no internal organs. Just layers, endless layers, as if hundreds of thin sheets had been stacked on top of each other. And its smell was organic but didn't resemble any animal. Kulik took a sample, examined it under a microscope. What he saw surprised him. There were cells, but neither plant cells nor animal cells. It was like a mixture of both, and the cell walls contained minerals, crystal structures. "What is this?" he asked his assistants. No one knew. They took the structure to Moscow, delivered it to the Scientific Research Institute, and then it disappeared. Not in official records, no report was published, no article was written. For 20 years, no one spoke of the flesh mass, until World War II ended. The 1950s, Soviet Union. The Cold War had begun. The US and USSR were in a technology race. Both sides were looking for advantages. Every type of weapon, every type of technology was being researched. The flesh mass. In 1952, a secret laboratory was established. In Novosiberia, deep in Siberia, Codename Project Pamyat, Memory Project. Lead scientist Dr. Alexei Sokolov, biologist, chemist, and one of the state's most trusted men. They re-examined the flesh mass, this time with more advanced equipment. And they made their first major discovery. The structure was alive. It hadn't died. It had been sitting in a Moscow warehouse for 44 years, but was still living. Its metabolism was incredibly slow, 100,000 times slower than a normal cell. But it was functioning. Dr. Sokolov examined the interior of the structure. There were layers, thousands of layers, and in each layer there were patterns. Regular patterns, not random, as if encoded. "Is this some kind of record?" he asked his assistant. But he didn't know how to read it. In the 1950s, DNA wasn't fully understood yet. The genetic code hadn't been cracked yet. Protein structures were a mystery. Sokolov did what he could. He photographed each layer, under the microscope, thousands of photographs, and filed them all for future scientists. In 1962, Sokolov died, heart attack, and the project slowed down. In the 70s, 80s, 90s, it was examined occasionally, but no progress was made. The technology wasn't sufficient yet. Until 2015. Novosibirsk's Biological Research Institute. 2015. Dr. Leonid Volkov was a 38-year-old young biochemist. He specialized in protein sequencing. He had been working on ancient DNA for the past 10 years. Neanderthal DNA, mammoth DNA, even 50,000-year-old bacterial DNA. One day, his director called him to his office. "Leonid," he said, "I want to give you a special project, classified, state classification. Do you accept?" Leonid hesitated, but he was curious. What kind of project? The director handed him a file. It said Pamyat 1952 on it. Leonid opened the file. Inside were old photographs, reports, notes, and something caught his attention. Flesh mass, Tunguska, 1908. "What is this?" he asked. "An organic structure found after the Tunguska explosion in 1908. It's been studied for 107 years, but never solved. We need your expertise." Leonid looked at the photographs. He saw the layers, he saw the patterns, and he understood. "This is protein sequencing," he said, "but incredibly complex. Can you solve it?" Leonid smiled. "I can try."
It took 3 years. Leonid and his team worked on the flesh mass every day. They used modern protein sequencing machines. They used artificial intelligence algorithms. They took thousands of samples. And slowly, a pattern emerged. The layers weren't just layers. Each layer contained information. Protein chains were encoded, just like DNA, but much more complex. DNA uses only 4 letters, A, T, G, C. This structure used 20 letters, 20 different amino acids, and the combinations went on infinitely. In 2017, they decoded the first text. Leonid looked at the screen. He couldn't believe his eyes. There were words on the screen, but not in any language. Symbols, geometric shapes, but they were organized, meaningful. The team's linguist, Dr. Marina Fedorova, analyzed the patterns. "This is a language," she said, "but a language never spoken. Completely visual, symbolic. Can you translate it?" Marina worked for 6 months, and finally, she succeeded. The first translated text read, "Record initiation. Cycle 3, Year 0. New species detected. Monitoring initiated." Leonid looked at his team. "Cycle 3? What does that mean?" But the answer was buried deeper. The decoding accelerated. The team now knew how to read it. Every day, new layers were opened. Every day, new information came. And the content was unbelievable. First shock, there were encoded dinosaurs. The archive had records going back 200 million years. But dinosaurs were never mentioned. Instead, there were other species. creatures described as rodent-reptile hybrids, giant insects, flying mammals. None of them were in science books. Leonid checked the fossil records. Dinosaurs existed, but the archive didn't mention them. How is that possible? He asked Marina. Marina shrugged. Maybe the archive is incomplete. Maybe it didn't record dinosaurs. But Leonid thought something else. Maybe the archive was recording a different reality. The second shock was bigger. 65 million years ago, there was a note in the archive, Cataclysm 1. Asteroid impact. Biosphere 70% loss. Rebooting. Rebooting. Leonid read aloud. What does that mean? Marina went deeper, and she saw. My God. She whispered. The screen showed this. Post-cataclysm genetic restructuring initiated. New species being synthesized. Old species being erased. Leonid stepped back. This isn't Earth's natural evolution. Someone is interfering. Who? I don't know. But the archive is recording it. The team went further back, to the oldest layers of the archive, and they experienced the biggest shock. 4 million years ago, there was a heading in the archive, Cycle 1. Intelligent species emerged. Homo Primalis. Monitoring initiated. Leonid stopped. Homo Primalis. What is this? Marina researched. It doesn't match any known species. But the description is bipedal, large brain, tool use, language, social structure. Like humans. Yes. But 4 million years ago. The records continued. The Homo Primalis species developed rapidly. Made tools. Used fire. Established settlements. Developed language. And 2 million years ago, they made technology. Impossible, Leonid said. 2 million years ago was the Stone Age. But the archive said something different. Homo Primalis discovered metalworking, invented the wheel, started agriculture, built cities, developed writing, and 1.9 million years ago, they were gone. The record stated, Cataclysm 2, supervolcano eruption, biosphere 85% loss, Homo Primalis extinct, Cycle 1 ended, reboot. Leonid stared at the screen. The first civilization was destroyed. Marina nodded, and erased. No fossils, no remains, because it was rebooted. But this wasn't the first. When they went further, they found a second civilization. 800,000 years ago, Homo secundus, the second intelligent species. Same cycle, same development, tools, fire, language, cities, technology. And 750,000 years ago, extinct. Cataclysm 3, asteroid impact, Homo secundus extinct. Cycle 2 ended. Leonid leaned back. Twice intelligent civilizations developed. Twice they were destroyed. Marina quietly added, and now we exist. Cycle 3. The team reached the final layer. Modern times. 300,000 years ago, the archive recorded this. Cycle 3 initiated. Homo sapiens species emerged. Monitoring initiated. Our species. Our history. The archive had recorded everything. First tools. First fire. First language. Agriculture. Writing. Cities. Empires. Wars. Science. Industrial revolution. Atomic energy. Everything was there. In detail. As if someone had been watching all along. And the last record was from 1908. Tunguska event. Archive settlement module crashed on Earth. Damage, moderate. Functionality, 70%. Recording continues. Leonid raised his head. The archive came from space. Marina nodded. The Tunguska explosion wasn't a meteor. It was this archive crashing. But why? Who sent it? Marina looked deeper into the archive and found a header. At the very beginning, in the oldest layer, Archive Protocol, Galactic Monitoring System, Earth Monitoring Station 7X, Purpose, Biological Development Record, Administrator, Undefined. Leonid swallowed. Someone has been monitoring Earth for millions of years and keeping records. But who? There was no answer. The archive only recorded. It didn't explain. But there was one more thing. In the final section of the archive, there was a prediction. Cycle 3 analysis. Homo sapiens following same development pattern. Technological acceleration, high. Environmental degradation, approaching critical levels. Prediction. Cataclysm 4 likely to occur between 2080 to 2120. Cause. Climate change, nuclear conflict, or biological collapse. Cycle May 3rd end. Leonid read the screen. Read it again. Read a third time. 2080 to 2120, he whispered. In our time. Marina covered her face with her hands. This is a warning. But from whom? And why warn us? Marina found the last message at the end of the archive. Note, if this archive is being read by Cycle 3 species, take heed. Cycle N can be prevented, but previous 2 cycles could not prevent it. The choice is yours. The room was silent. Leonid raised his head. We need to tell the world. Marina hesitated. But what will the government say? This is a classified project. I don't care. Humanity needs to know. 2 civilizations before us were destroyed. We could be the third. Or, we could be the first to break this cycle. Leonid and his team made a decision. They would publish. In 2019, at an international scientific conference, they revealed their findings. The world was shocked. Some didn't believe it. Conspiracy theory, they said. Some were afraid. If it's true, we're doomed. Some were hopeful. Maybe we can prevent it. The archive is still being studied at the Novosibirsk Institute. Every day, new data is being decoded. Every day, we're learning more about the past. But the most important question remains unanswered. Who sent this archive? Who has been monitoring Earth for millions of years? And why don't they intervene? Some scientists say maybe they're just observers. Intervention is forbidden. Some say maybe they're testing us to see if we can save ourselves. And some say maybe the archive is automatic. No one is managing it. It's just programmed to record. There are same archives on millions of planets. And all of them are silently watching. Leonid Volkov still works today. As of 2024, 60% of the archive has been decoded. The rest will take years. But he discovered something. In the final layer of the archive, there's a note written after 2018. A new note, as if the archive is still writing. 2018, Cycle 3 species discovered the archive. For the first time, a cycle learned its own past. Result, uncertain. Monitoring continues. Every time Leonid reads this note, his skin crawls. Because this means someone is still watching. And maybe for the first time there's a chance. The previous 2 civilizations didn't find the archive. They didn't know their history. They made the same mistakes. But we found it. We know. And maybe, just maybe, this time can be different. Leonid looks out the window, looks at the sky, and thinks, out there somewhere, something is watching us. Recording, waiting, to see what we'll do. And then he writes in his notebook, Cycle 3. Time to choose. Will we be destroyed, or will we break the cycle for the first time? We'll learn the answer in a few generations.